Well, hello again, everyone. I know this is a fairly common subject, especially for those looking to buy an EXP or LN7. So, creating a series here of videos on how to buy an EXP and LN7. One of the first things I want to start with was rust. It's a bigger issue, especially if you live up north like I do. You can probably tell by my Wisconsin accent that, yeah, I live pretty far north and we see a lot of rust around here. So I'll dive in and I'll show you places where you really need to be looking out for rust, rot, anything like that, whether that will catch your eye, anything like that you really need to know about. So there's not too much with these cars. A lot of times they like to get surface rust around the wheel wells, which is fine. Wheel wells that, sorry, not wheel wells, fenders that rot out, it's not too common. Front fenders will rot holes through the sides. I can't remember if this one has any or not, but they like to rot holes down here at the bottom where all the water runs down and catches up inside of there if it's been driven all winter. Another spot is doors. Again, that's usually just a winter car thing, or if they sat in a field. Like this one's been sitting out in the Wisconsin weather, just in someone's yard for the last 20 so years. And you can see that there's a big hole in the door. And there's many others down the door, but the rocker panel is all right. That's another concern with these rockers. They don't typically rot through, but they do get kind of rough. It's more than surface rust, but they very rarely rot holes. That's the most you'll ever see, is just disturbing brown rust. It's very rare that they rot through like doors. But as we get back to the rear quarter panel, they do like to rot in here. That's usually a sunroof thing, or from water leaking in from these corner windows, because over time the sealant behind this triangle rubber gasket, that sealant goes to heck. So water just pours down in there and then it collects down below there. And I think the reason why the rocker doesn't really rot is because it has holes drilled into it at an angle like that into the bottom. So when it goes down the road, water travels out from each of the, it's somewhere between 6 and 10 holes that these usually have, that water can go out of. And there's a hole at the end here, underneath the corner glass. It does the same thing. But so far I've seen that from the factory they just putty right over it. So I'm not sure if they had decided that it was unnecessary or redundant, or if it caused more problems, but I left the hole open, get it down around metal, prime it, and then water, if I haven't had any issues yet, but water that goes down in there should just go straight out of the car. But again, I haven't had any water get inside the car at all yet. Since I'm here, I do have a little bit of rot underneath this rocker. Again, it doesn't happen all that much, but when they sit out in fields, it happens a lot. Back to the rear quarter. This is where things get hairy and scary. You can see that my wheel well is pretty brown, pretty rough. It's no longer a smooth shape or a smooth texture. It's just really rough. But if we look up inside the wheel wells, you can see that this one hasn't rotted through at all. I'll show you this EXP here. This one has issues. I'm hoping that you can see it in the light, but there we go. Oh yeah. A hole in the wall where you really don't want to see it all. Yeah, that's what you're dealing with. This is the famous thing you'll hear about EXPs, LN7s, and pretty much any 80s Escort, is where it rots through the rear wheel wells And worse yet, the strut tower. Because when that rots out enough, the strut tower will actually collapse, and it could do a number on your hatch. It'll probably ruin your interior panels, but it also makes the rear suspension completely fail. The back of the car just drops to the floor while you're going down the road, and you have some issues. But out of all my EXPs, this is the only one with that issue, and this is I believe a Montana car. Every single other EXP of mine hasn't had the issue. This blue car is from Wisconsin. It's got rot all over the floors, but like I showed you, the wheel wells are good to go. Another issue is the spare tire compartment. Yeah, maybe I got one to show you. But these spare tire compartments, they hold water too, you know, because it's a recessed part of the car. Yeah, you can see some of it. So it holds water, and there's an oval access hatch where you can go in and do whatever. I don't know why Ford had those there, but they didn't work too well. They were really good at collecting water, and then water didn't go out of them because I don't know how they sealed so strangely, but they did, because it's just rubber around an oval tin cover. But yeah, somehow water gets in there and it never comes out, and it just rots out the entire wheel well. Floors are also an issue. It's something you see mostly with cars that have been ran all winter up north. This one doesn't have it too bad. You probably can't see it, but there's a couple spots where the floor is getting rough. That's easily fixed because the floor pan is just flat metal with different stamped textures in it for rigidity. So you can just cut it all out, replace it with fresh flat sheet metal, and then you're good to go, as long as the raised supports where the seat go aren't compromised. Those I can show you. You have a car whose interior is all apart at the moment. There we go. If you could see that. There we are. You can see those two raised portions. There's a big bulge right there, a smaller one there. That's where the seat mounts onto. And you can see that front one, that bulge is way too big, so this does have some rot on the floor that I need to tend to at some point. But this is merely a parts car. This one's a little too far gone for my liking. It's got more rust than it has metal. But all the other ones have really good hope. One of the last spots that could concern you, that will concern you, there's actually two. I'll show you one here. First is the radiator support. So underneath the radiator is obviously your radiator support. It's the entire front panel at the front of your car. You can see this one's rotting through. It's not too common, but it happens. I'm not sure how. Maybe rock chips, chip the paint, and then driving it all winter, it exposes it to salt, and then it rots like that. Maybe you hit something like a rock or a stump or an animal, whatever. I have no idea, but you got to do something to expose that bra metal, and then so it rusts like that, because it can't hold any water because they purposely drill holes through it. So any water that gets in there just flops right out of it as easy as a winnet. All my other radiator supports, they're in fair shape. This turbo is the only one I've seen with issues with it, but it is a compromising feature. Especially when the top of it has been collapsed like that. I'm not sure what caused it. Not sure how or when it happened, but whatever did that had buckled the front radiator support, so I don't know if I can save that. I can probably bend it back into shape, but that's not of my concern. But this lower radiator mount is what all your suspension mounts to. Like your sway bar, you can see my sway bar there. It mounts to little triangles in each corner of the frame. That mounts directly to the radiator support. You can see that the whole rest of my frame is actually rotting out. My front subframe, that is, because they're unibody. So you see that car is more or less a goner unless you're willing to take care of it. That's a lot of work. So this one is, I'd hate to say it's more of a goner than it is a saver, and it is a turbo, so it is sad, but we'll live on somewhere else in a different car. But my last piece of concern for everybody is rust on the rear deck. So this is an 84, so it's a bubble back, and it's a turbo, so it has the spoiler. And what that entails is that from the factory they drill a few holes to mount it to, and which is fine. These usually don't rot out too bad. That's my worst one, and that's nothing. But what happens is whenever you drive your car a lot and you don't wash it, or worse, you store it underneath trees, like I am. Ignore that. You store it underneath trees, and the trees are falling down on this. Or sorry, not trees. The leaves and crap from trees, they fall on the window and they accumulate underneath the spoiler, and then all that holds water. It ruins the seal around the bottom of the back window. So then water leaks into the inside of your car. It leaks down into your spare tire well, and then that rusts. But you also have water leaking inside the grab portion of your hatch, your deck lid, and then it rusts. You can see I can flex that. I shouldn't be able to. It should be whole, but it isn't. And this is very common, especially cars that have spoilers on the back of them, especially bubble backs. The notchbacks typically don't have that issue. I'm going to show you one that does, and it's pretty rare to find it on a notchback that has said issue, the rod, because it doesn't have a spoiler to be catching all that debris and holding it where the window ends. The window ends right there, but you still have the same issue. Debris and water fill up this little tray here, ruins the bottom seal. Again, it leaks straight down into your well. It'll leak into your well easier in the notchback than it will the bubble back. But then it pretty much ends there, unless it rots a hole in one of the corners going into your actual hatch. You won't have any water leaking in here. So how do the notchbacks rot? Well, I'm guessing people close it down on something, scratch the paint, or people are loading it up with stuff. Like this used to belong to a radio technician. So he was always carrying around metal radio cabinets, housings, whatever. So I'm willing to bet it's some of that stuff had scuffed the bottom of the deck when he was loading it, unloading it. You know, all it has to do is chip the paint once or twice, and it'll start rusting like this, and then over time, rots holes. So this one's really rough. I can still save it, but it'll take a lot of work. My turbo hatch I showed you, that's in dire straits. I am better off replacing the entire hatch, but that's the only bubble back I have. And removing the glass is an expensive feat. That will be in a different video. But that's about all there is for rust control. and rust to be aware of when you're working on your EXP. One last thing I've seen a bunch is rusting cowls. I don't know why they rust, because in theory nothing really hits these unless water and debris just catch in this little piece of trim, and then it just starts rusting wherever it feels like it, like it is on this guy. That's not too common. They very rarely rust around the antenna. Most old cars, they go to hell where the antenna goes through, but Ford does a really good job painting these before they put the antenna on, so that hardly ever happens. But yeah, on some of my cars they turn brown. Some of them are just like new. If you've had if the one you're looking at has hood issues, hood alignment issues, you could have more issues with the cowl. Like this hood, for whatever reason, on all mine, it's always the driver's side hinge that fails. I'm not sure if someone tries like dancing up and down on this while the other end is propped, but at some point the hinge bends and it fails. So then whenever you prop the hood up, it chips the paint all along this driver's side of the cowl, and it does the same on the hood. And then depending on how bad it's bent, this corner of the hood could poke more here, or more here, or more up in here. It could dent a million things. This portion can also catch and bend the wiper arm. That's what this one's been doing. That's why there's a chip there. It meets up perfectly with that. But that's pretty much, again, all you see for rust. Battery trays don't rot out because they're almost always plastic. Wheels rusting is not a concern. Usually, because they're just steelies. You just sandblast them, paint them. You'll be good to go again for another 10 years. Sunroofs, I'm starting to see more and more issues with these. What happens is the glass itself has a metal ring around it, and then around that is a rubber gasket. Well, the metal part of the ring, the metal ring, it rusts, and when metal rusts, it swells. So then it makes the gasket spread out, but it's already a tight fit, so it can't expand any more than what it does. So what it does is it starts raising in different places. You can see here that it's trying to raise in that corner. It's trying to raise in the center there. It's actually down in this edge, and then the whole back side it's raising up. And a lot of my other sunroof cars are getting that way. That one's fine. This one's getting bad. This one's not too bad. But that blue one and one of the ones undercover, they're really bad. You'll see the sunroof, just not sitting at all even whatsoever. And it's like I said, water gets in there, the rust expands. Then it doesn't seal worth a darn. So then when it's not sealing very well, water goes in there. It fills up the water tray, the sunroof tray, fills it full of water. And then sometimes, depending on how much debris you get, like you can see these chunks of leaves here, other people have serious issues. They'll get like big leaves underneath here, and then it clogs up the 4 drain pipes for the sunroof, because there's 4 drain tubes on every sunroof, and if 2 or more are plugged, water will pool up in that tray in the trough, and it'll actually run out and over and down into the car from the inside. So sometimes they'll run down the windshield, sometimes they'll run down one of the pillars. It could also just drip from different places along the trough, and it'll land all over the interior, stain it, make it rust. The whole story. But that's about all there is for rust. I know that sounds like a lot, but in all honesty, it's not too much. I've seen cars with a lot worse living in Wisconsin, you know. But these seem to last pretty well. Ford galvanizes, or at least they used to. They used to galvanize their cars really well. Like even our Mustang, it's a '65 Mustang, and they galvanize some of the panels so well that that paint won't even freaking stick onto them. That's an issue I've had with the door handles of EXPs. Did them so well that paint won't stick. Sometimes the gas flaps, you can't get paint to stick on if you get down to raw metal. So then you have to be real finicky with how thin your coats of primer are. Same with the door handles, so you're not getting orange peel. The mirrors are plastic, but they still have that orange peeling nightmare. Thin coats. That's about all there is to it. Not really anything else rusts out on these. But yeah, that's all I got for you. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll see you guys next time. And good luck with your finds.